Don in London, hello. It's November the 23rd. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour, equally addictive around people, places and things. In other words, anything. So if I wasn't drinking myself to death, I was probably working myself to death or trying to be perfect in a relationship. And so over-controlling, over-manipulative, probably, because I was manipulating myself into being something that people wanted, rather than finding out who I was on a daily basis. So gone is the thinking of how I ought to be, and I start my day asking myself, how am I feeling, why, and what can I do? So this morning, how am I feeling? I'm feeling okay, just okay, in the middle somewhere. Why? Because I have had enough sleep. And enough for me is about 4 hours. I have very strange insomnia. I never know when it's going to strike or for how long. But that's okay, because I can manage my situation by letting myself understand what's going on, by how I'm feeling. And then I can think about it. Think about my regime of how I am and what I'm doing. So feelings first, thinking after. If I know my mood, I can then work on what's best for me. If I don't know what's best for me, I need some help. And that's what I needed when I got to recovery. I simply needed help to find a path to stay sober one day at a time. And the path was provided, if you like, by a fellowship, apart from family, community and medical people who kept me alive long enough, a fellowship called AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for AA, the Alcoholics Anonymous Fellowship. Never can, never will. Never want to. It's full of unique, authentic people who share their experience, strength and hope of sobriety where they choose. And AA is attraction rather than promotion, and that's part of the theme of the 11th month of my year, because I share daily reflections from this book from AA, Daily Reflections, which covers the 12 steps of action for an individual and 12 traditions of the fellowship. And they are suggestions, they're not rules. There are no rules in AA, not for an individual, not for a group of people who will choose to associate in fellowship, except a few basics around it's about being sober one day at a time. So to explain that, I have here this little card, which is from AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and it was actually reprinted and copyrighted in 1947. So I would imagine it's been reprinted and copyrighted again, because it's run out. On this card, not in the fellowship, this is what it says. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. So it's focused on one thing, sobriety. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. Yes, how to stop, and stop one day at a time. There are no dues or fees for AA membership, and lots of us are very poor when we get to the fellowship because we've drunk our lives away. So we're not able to contribute very much, but a few pennies helps. And it says we are self-supporting through our own contributions, which means we're not affiliated to anything. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, but every member has affiliations outside the fellowship to their family, community, life, what they believe in. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So it's got a very clear focus, and because it has a very clear focus, it is what you see is what you get. So in meetings of the fellowship, which is the driving force, if you like, on a daily basis for sobriety, people are focused on what is their experience, strength and hope of today, or their past, or what is going on for them. And of course outside issues are aired, but they're not judged, because we're there to understand, when sharing, what can help us. So it's not about being judgmental, it's about finding wisdom as we go along. So this book, Daily Reflections, is all about step 11, which is the 11th step of open, honest and willing to change our behaviour. So 12 steps for the individual, 12 traditions for the fellowship and groups. So for November 23, hold your face to the light. And I must explain that whatever you choose your higher power to be, if you come to believe you have a higher power, and for me it's good conscience, nature, the universe, and God of my understanding. It says here, hold your face to the light, believe more deeply, hold your face up to the light, even though for the moment you do not see it. And it goes on to say, one Sunday in October, during my morning meditations, I glanced out the window at the ash tree in our front yard. At once I was overwhelmed by its magnificent golden colour. As I stared in awe at God's work of art, the leaves began to fall, and within minutes the branches were bare. Sadness came over me as I thought of the winter months ahead. But just as I was reflecting on autumn's autumnal process, God's message came through. Like the trees, stripped of their leaves in the fall, sprout new blossoms in the spring. I had had my compulsive, selfish ways removed by God in order for me to blossom into a sober, joyful member of AA. Thank you, God, for the changing seasons and for my ever-changing life. And I don't have a problem with the word God. Maybe what we need to understand is we all have our understanding of what God may be. Somebody asked me the other day, do you believe in God? And I said, I don't know, because I can't define God, but I do believe in a higher power, and that's the greater good, if you like, the wisdom of the many, which is everybody on the planet. So our combined wisdom, truth, love and wisdom, suits me very well as my personal understanding, and I can't control it, and all I do is get wisdom from it. And life is what life is. So, no meeting yesterday for me. A friend called and said, could I come round? They had a problem with their email, but then we had a 3-hour discussion, all to do with recovery and how we feel about ourselves. And the greatest prejudice that an alcoholic has is probably against themselves in early days, and this can carry on for quite a while. You know, we feel less than because we're unable to control our drinking, and we feel less than because the world we feel is judging us. And what I've found is if we are judging ourselves with self-prejudice for being less than, being in deficit because of our allergy or our disease, or whatever you want to call it, the inability to cope with alcohol, then we're doing ourselves a disservice, because if we can get into sobriety, we are a very sensitive and useful person in society, simply because we can help others deal with their addictions. We can't cure them and we can't fix them, but we can sure share our experience, strength and hope of how to be sober. So it's an ever-changing outlook which keeps us sober. And if we get stuck and feel that we are bound by rules and regulations around our behaviour, then we can be in great difficulties, because our attitudes are frozen too. And the greatest point made by AA is changing to the good of living, always changing to meet current life situations. So if we can deal with current life situations, we're on to a winner. That is, dealing with real life, be it happy or sad. Anyway, my time is up for now. The serenity prayer to God or good conscience is where I close. So to God or good conscience, of your understanding, not mine. It's important, we're unique, authentic people. God or good conscience, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change today, courage to change the things I can today, and the wisdom to know the difference is, for me, always just for today.